Okay, we're live. Tell you what, your migraines get worse. Anyway, what you been up to today?
Yeah, just getting up. My wife's away on holiday, I have to admit, right? So it was all booked at the time I was in, like recovering from being in the hospital. But that's fine. She's with the father-in-law and the brother-in-law and the sister-in-law and all the rest of it, and their daughter, their daughter as well. So she's having a good time. Gives her time out, and don't forget she's gone through a lot inside the last year.
Aye,
Apart from just me, there's a lot of other things that happen in the family. So she needs a
aye.
break. She needs a break.
Let's hope she enjoys it immensely.
Yeah. Oh,
There you
she'll love
go.
the heat, but already I've been told the father-in-law nearly blooming killed her with the heat. 42 degrees.
I know where that comes from. It's only 24 here and I'm killing her.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah. I tell you
All
what,
right.
I said to them, I said, take care of him. You're going to have to take care of him. But, you know, they're young. They'll learn.
Right, we better look to see who's in, will we?
Yeah.
Aki's, Robert the Bruce, with Pet, Alan Duncan, who else we got? Aki's, or is it his Aki's? Stephen Nichol, Margaret, Mackay, Cumray, June, Peter M, 70, Stevie Charlton, Alex Adam, Chris Fisher, Jim Soralba, Duncan. Duncan's there somewhere. Melanie's there. Like in the Bolton. Hi, Laurie. Right. Not much going on, David.
Yeah. It's at the end of the day, it's like I spent a large degree of the weekend researching what's going on in the music industry, and we discussed this, and it's where an artist, picture of an artist, lyrics, music, backing track, everything, song was produced inside 2 minutes by artificial intelligence. And I was also being told how the Taylor Swift and all the different stars of the day are all looking to put together a huge court case to go against artificial intelligence or control it, regulate it to a degree, right? So
Right.
interesting. It's an interesting debate to have, but we do need artificial intelligence regulated so that you're talking about people losing their jobs, and I can see it happening. You were talking about the trucking industry when uh, the trucks are out there now that can drive themselves, but it's just the owners are scared in case one of them goes doolally and piles into a school, a primary school or something like that, kills all the kids, right?
Aye.
That's the sort of thoughts that are going through there. But the same could happen with a real human driver who had a heart
Aye.
attack. That's it. And we've actually seen that happening in the past.
Oh, aye.
Yeah. So anyway, there you go.
It is an interesting subject because we are going to have to talk about this in the future. Our
Yes.
politicians are going to have to get a grip of this because
Yeah.
machines don't pay tax and we're still going to need public services.
Politicians at the moment haven't got a Scooby. They don't know. They don't know about it. They don't want to know about it. They've got enough on their plate at the moment, and it's like artificial intelligence is something that's out there. I can assure you, it's not out there. It's in your face. People are
Well,
using it every day. Something like that.
interesting debate to be had, but
Yeah,
not for right now. Now we
yeah.
need to get on track, all right?
And in the
Now,
past, I'd have been told get back down your rabbit hole for that. Now it's serious enough whereby I'm not being told get out. What's that you're saying, David?
I know there's an awful lot of professions that are looking at this with fear.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that track that was produced, sorry to go on, but that track that was produced, that was very, very good, very listenable. David's heard it as well, and it's like he went, yeah, it's a good
I
track.
enjoyed it. It's a good
Yeah.
track.
Yeah.
But to get back on track,
Yeah.
see the campaign group for Women Scotland have put their head above the parapet again,
Yeah.
and they're taking the Scottish Government back to court over inaction taken by the Scottish Government since the UK Supreme Court ruling on gender identification in the 2010 Equalities Act, which was Westminster legislation.
It's easy. It's very easy to find something to push against this bunch of women, right? And one of the things which, if you look into it, if you deep dive into it, right, a lot of the main names in it are all what's the name of the group that they're part of?
No, let's not go there.
Scotland Union, SIU, right? And so it's easy to do that, but you have to remember, it's like they'll be carrying along a lot of women with them that have got no political allegiance or wish or whatever.
Yeah.
They just want the thing doing. So be careful on this one. But at the end of the day, you've got to look at it from the point of view. What I'm saying is, be careful. Don't demonize a lot of the women that are not politically affiliated.
I'm not demonizing anybody here, David. I'm describing now.
Just be careful in that, in case you do, right?
No, I've done any criticism of the group here at all.
Mate,
I'm looking at the legal connotations of what they're actually doing.
Yeah. Well, the main one is the decision was made by the Scottish Government. Our votes went into forming that Scottish Government. They brought out legislation. The legislation that they're going after is a 2010 legislation, which came from England, the English Parliament, which is in Westminster. End of story.
Well, it's a wee bit more complicated now.
I know it's a little bit more complicated than that. However, yes.
If we're going to inform the viewers what the story is, we're going to give them the meat and bones of it.
When you go.
So we have to give them the meat and bones of it. That's the rules of it. Anyway, why did they take the Scottish Government back court? Well, it has to do with the rules of transgender people in prison.
Yeah.
Now, the ruling of the Supreme Court doesn't affect how the Scottish Prison Service operates in certain circumstances. And those circumstances is where the transgender person has a gender sex recognition certificate and does not pose a threat to females. Therefore, they can still be sent to the female estate.
Yeah.
Now, Women for Scotland, for Women Scotland, have taken the Scottish Government to court over lack of action over the outcome of the Supreme Court ruling on the 2010 Act, where when it comes to sex and the law itself, then biological sex was how this bill was drafted.
Yeah.
Right. Now, as you've already pointed out, they're actually, the Scottish Government's attitude to this one is, this isn't our legislation, this isn't our mistake, you've overturned our legislation on your own narrow legislation's definition of sex.
Yeah.
It's up to you to issue the guidance here, it's not up to us.
That's right. And I, to be honest with you, I actually like the idea that the Scottish Government are just going, it's not to do with us.
That's right, and they haven't given guidance or advice to any of the Scottish institutions because it's not their place.
Right.
There has been advice offered by the Equalities Commission. They haven't quite put out guidance yet, but the Scottish Government, it's not their bill. Your guidance and your advice is going to come from the Equalities Commission who oversee the 2010 Equalities Act.
The Scottish Government's excuse on that would be, we tried putting out legislation and the carpet was pulled away from us.
Yes.
End of story. Section 35. While you take the Westminster government and the Supreme Court to court over that, when at the same time overturned the idea on the Scotland Act of Section 35 shouldn't be allowed to continue.
Well, as I say, they're taking the Scottish Government to court over their inaction over guidance for Scottish institutions. But as it's a UK bill, the Scottish Government can't offer guidance or advice on that UK bill.
We're actually seeing a lot of this. There's other things that we're going to discuss further on, but it's where people are being misdirected.
Yes.
Certainly by unionist groups. This Scotland Union group are heavily involved here, and it's like they are pushing people a particular direction, and it's just a case of hit the Scottish Government any way you can.
The press are complicit in this, of course, David.
Well, most of our press are unionist, and even down to newspapers like National, which are supposed to be pro-independence, they can get misled by it as well.
Aye.
Yeah, so they come out with a load of nonsense at times. So.
Well, let's lighten things up a wee bit, shall we?
Yeah.
And J.D. Vance has just left Scotland. Didn't he do very much while he was here?
No, you called him pissy pants.
Oh,
right?
aye.
And I thought, folks.
Aye, no, folks, aye, you're right. Can't call J.D. Vance pissy pants. We already have a pissy pants.
We already got a pissy pants, right?
Aye, you're right, aye. But anyway, he's left. He's away. He said 4 days in Scotland and I think 5 days in England.
Yeah.
Now, in England, he had an engagement with Lamy. Came to Scotland, didn't have engagement with anybody of any note that I'm aware of.
The engagement he had with Lamy is go fishing.
Aye, even the Lamy didn't pay for his fucking permit. Find the bugger.
Yeah. Imagine Lamy getting back locked up with the police. And you going, well, you have to pay now to fish in this country.
Anyway, they tell me the only thing they managed to catch for some jobbies. After all, English waterways are pretty well polluted.
So Vance could polish them up there. Is that what it is?
Anyway, I don't quite get why he was here, but when he was here, the people gave him a good reception. He always stuck his head above the parapet a couple of times.
Tell us about the shades of previous things against Trump.
Oh, great. When I was looking at when he was out to play Trump Tunbury, J.D. Vance was playing Trump Tunbury, and of course the protesters were there. And my favourite sign was, "You're just a weird cunt than Trump."
Every time I see Vance, he stood behind Trump. He's smiling away. Thank you, Mr. E. Thank you very much. You read out, David, if you wouldn't mind.
Aye, sure. It's a pair thing. It's a super sticker, and it's pair character flying in the air with red cape and smile on his face. Thanks, Mr. E. We'll make sure that it gets out at the end of the month to the food bank and the borders.
Right. Every time I see him, he stood behind Trump. He's smiling away, thinking in a few months' time, he'll be dead and I'll be signed in under the 25th Amendment. There you go. How's with that?
I don't really get why he came to Scotland. He must have known he was going to get a rough reception.
Well, previously it has said that people that lived within the catchment area of
family
health clinics, right, can get locked up for praying.
I remember that stupid statement. He was talking about
if that's not a foreign politician, can we call him a politician? I don't know if he is a chancellor, a foreign chancellor actually taking part in our legalities. Forget it, Vance, on your way. You shouldn't be in Scotland. Don't care if you go to England, that's fine, go to England, but Scotland, you're out of here. Someone's See, if we were an independent company, independent country, Vance would not have got in. I'd have been stood, false leg and all. I'd have been stood at Holyrood, woman saying, "Don't let that bastard in."
I'm not sure about that, David. Let's face it, the whole point of wanting to be at the big boys' table is to be there to chat amongst them. But
Vance doesn't. Vance is like Trump. Vance is just like an American barra boy. Trump's like a Scottish, a barra boy, right?
aye,
They don't want anything serious. Anything serious takes too much brain work, right? Whereas they're going, let's do people that live. If you're getting an abortion in that place, there's people round about getting locked up for praying for the child. I said, right. Anyway, carry on.
I think we will. I think that's enough comedy for one day. Although there's a fair bit of comedy on how this next subject's been reported.
What?
Alex Salmond's family are no chuffed with comments made in Nicola's memoirs, and of course the press are going to town on it, aren't they?
Oh, look, there's a cat up there. Hang on, David. There's a cat up that tree there.
It's no, David. Put your glasses on. It's a squirrel.
No, if it falls off the tree, it becomes a dead cat.
This definitely is a dead cat, that's for sure. Anyway, his niece, Christina Henry, sticks her head above the parapet to say there was a conspiracy against her uncle by the investigators investigating complaints of sexual misconduct made against Mr. Salmond, who was later cleared in court of 13 sexual offences. Miss Henry says the family will pursue a £3 million damages claim against the Scottish Government. Are you surprised, David?
No,
that
not
this rearing
surprised.
its ugly head at this point in time?
Not surprised at all, because at the end of the day, it's keeping the Alex Salmond and Nicola Sturgeon thing going. Please read that out first.
Shiva dog in samurai armour waving banner saying #1. Thanks, Eddie. You're a star.
Yeah, if you imagine that the Salmond Sturgeon fight, if you like, be kept on going as much as these unionist papers can do it, and as much as the unionist broadcasters can do it, because at the end of the day, it's like it's all they've got. When it comes to it, when it comes right down to it, we're in the middle of silly season. This is perfect for silly season.
Also, in the run up to an election, for about 10 months out,
All right,
if they
okay.
can keep these SNP stories alive for that period, they're hoping they'll make a negative impact.
I think the big news will be just before the election, sort of the final
Peter
2
will be
months.
in court, aye.
Peter will come into the fray.
Aye.
Yeah, he'll be in the middle of sort of George Square, whatever, the Freedom Square, and he'll be ready to get his head taken off and pulled apart and all the rest of that.
Aye.
Yeah.
But I find out this story's been spun more interesting than anything else, David. And the reason why that is, for one, suing the Scottish Government. The Scottish Government didn't investigate sexual misconduct claims made against Alex Salmond.
That's right. Because if that had been the case, it'd have already been sued.
Yes.
It'd have been, it'd have been a done deal. It would have happened straight away.
But the way the press spin this is, the Scottish Government conducted an investigation into Alex Salmond's sexual misconduct.
This also is another side of it, right? Is if you imagine there's a few different facets of this, right? One thing is, which Scottish Government are you talking about?
In this case, it's the civil service, but they're talking about the SNP. They're conflating the two.
Yeah, but that always happens.
Yep.
See, when somebody mentions the Scottish Government, everybody goes, "Oh, it must be SNP." Sometimes Scottish Government is a Scotland office.
Yep.
The Scotland Office are not your friends. The Scotland Office do not want anything good for Scotland. The Scotland Office wish to see the end to Holyrood. End of story.
Now let's get back to what Alex's niece said, Christina Henry, right? That there had been a conspiracy against her uncle. What the Scottish Government and the Scottish Parliament did was they investigated the civil service investigation into Mr. Salmond.
Can I stop you there, right?
Sorry, they had an inquiry into it.
Why did they get Alex Salmond's niece to say this?
I have absolutely no idea.
Well, surely they must have had somebody else a bit more newsworthy to actually say this. What about some of the usual suspects within Alba? Couldn't they have said it?
No, this is a family matter, apparently.
Right. Well, no, but the thing is, okay, so it's a family matter. Why is it a niece of Alex Salmond that's been drawn out to say this?
Maybe she's the only one that was willing to go in front of the cameras, David, from the family.
One. The only one who was willing.
But we all know Moira's a recluse. So it'd be a surprise for Moira to come on the TV and make the statement.
Moira's got too many previous skeletons uncovered regarding.
Well, yeah. not that I'm going to talk about here, that's for sure.
You know where the bodies are buried, that's it. And we're not talking about Moira.
Anyway, what the Scottish Government did do was hold an inquiry into the investigation by the civil service. And that's what we all watched played out on our television.
That's right. We watched it for hours.
Yep.
Civil servants questioned over this, right? And what colour of toilet paper did you use, Head? Right, all the rest of it, right? And eventually, it was the last part of it was Alex Salmond getting questioned. And when they asked him about that, come on, David, you did it nicely. You can explain it.
Well, as we know, during the inquiry, which has been misconstrued by the press as the investigation, the committee, they questioned all the civil servants, all the politicians that were questioned by the civil service, and the last one to be spoke to was Mr. Salmond. And one of the first questions that was asked was, do you think there was a conspiracy theory, a conspiracy against you? And Mr. Salmond eloquently said, no. But, as I say, this story's it's fascinating the way they're reporting on it. They're conflating the two arms of Scottish government and pointing at the SNP. You got Mr. Rees super chat up. Silly season. Where Whitehall's Ministry of Truth has power over. Only independence guarantees freedom from this nonsense. You're right, Mr. Rees.
Time for independence, 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 guys.
But it's important, David. The reason why we're talking about this is because it's important that people realise that they are deliberately conflating the two arms of government. And they're flipping on its head to make it an SNP bad story.
Yeah, if you look at all the way across, right? Okay, we've got that situation where we've got two bodies calling themselves the Scottish Government, Holyrood and Scotland, the Scotland Office, right? So there you are, right? Okay. Next one we've got where we see a programme about the NHS on TV, saying how bad it is and all the rest of it, right? And everybody in Scotland goes, oh, it's dreadful. Didn't know the hospitals and all the rest were that much of a state. And what they're describing is they're describing the NHS in England.
Aye.
And what's happening is because they don't specify which it is, which NHS it is, it just goes out to everybody in the United Kingdom, and that's it. And it's like we therefore is given the wrong indication to people of where the fault is, where the problem is, all the rest of it, right? And you'll find that
we get that a lot when they're talking about the UK when they actually mean England.
That's right. exactly
we
right.
do get a lot of that. But see, the way this story's been spun is a hard one for people to understand. So let's hope that clears it up a wee bit.
Now, I get caught out in that. I saw a clip of a lad talking about the prices of houses are going to go skyrocketing because of technology. It gives the underwriters in London the ability to look at houses in Grimsby, in Liverpool, or wherever, right, to actually give a real estimation on what a property is worth, right? So what's going to happen is, because they're able to do that, so that they're able to throw the money so far, means that prices are going to go up in the UK, he said, right? Didn't mention anywhere in Scotland. At the end of the day, Scotland's house prices are very, very low, right? And it's like, yet again, with another situation whereby he was talking away about that, and it was, you're made to think it was the entire UK. It wasn't, it's just England.
Well, an interesting housing story which we could have spoke about, which came up this week, was BlackRock buying a full development of 4,500 completed houses as institutions take care of the housing stock, and they will regulate the rental markets. That's
Right.
an interesting one. So,
Dude, was it entire UK, or was it England based or Scotland based, or what was it?
it was in England. They bought the whole development. After it was built, they just went into the developer and went, "We'll buy the lot."
Yeah, and they can. I mean, what number are we putting on? Did we put an extra zero in there? They know fine well that sort of money, that's pennies.
And that's the freedom that the change in regulation on pensions gave them. The hedge funds can now buy up the housing stock and they become your landlords.
Yeah, that's right.
And they will not be good landlords because their job is profit for shareholders.
That's
Whether
right.
that be your pension or whether it be corporate shareholders.
The
That's
very
what
moment, the
right.
very moment that your main, basically, your main setup for a business is profit for shareholders, and it is something that the general public need.
Do you understand?
Oh, guys, that's trouble.
Right, the main problem is communication. They conflate, omit, outright lie about our nation as they control our media. We need to develop media first so we attain Indy. We are trying. Come Ray, we're trying. We are trying.
It
That's
seems
why
like
we're here.
BBC are selling off their studios in Dumbarton, right?
Aye.
It's like, what we could do is we could get we get money together and actually buy the studios. So I not leave the cameras, leave the connection, and what we'll
And
do
right,
is
we're going to leave a connection, David. You know we tried this, we tried this right after the 2014 fucking referendum.
I
We
will
tried
get
to
brought.
buy TV licenses. We tried to buy radio licenses. They weren't having it. What's interesting is you could go to somewhere like Amazon and buy a platform,
Yeah. Yes or no?
but to try and go mainstream, you know that they wouldn't grant us a license. Right, let's talk about boats. I know I
Right.
don't want to talk about boats either, but it's all we've got in the news. Cal Mack is being talked down again by the Lib Dems, this time Jamie Green. Apparently, Cal Mack has paid out £460,000 in compensation in the last 12 months for delays and cancellations. You think that's a lot of money, David?
Cherry bobs, absolute cherry bobs.
I no kidding, considering how many services, how much.
See when you talk about it was it 6 months, was it?
No, a year.
A year, a whole year, right? So 500,000 over a full year. You know, we're talking about less than £100,000 a month, right? And we're talking about a shipping, a tourist shipping place or a public shipping place that literally it covers the roughest seas you could possibly get at times, right?
But yet they
And
still hit 96.4% accuracy on the timetable.
That's right. So it means that with 96.4, so that's 3.6% of the passengers were paid a phenomenal amount of money. That's a Scotland good story, that is. Look how embarrassed we are at even letting one person be late on one of those boats that would pay them a huge amount of money for that happening. Your poor soul, sorry, here, take some money. That's brilliant. That's absolutely wonderful. Depends on how you look at it. The unionists look at it from the bad end. The people in the Lib Dems that brought it up, yeah.
Aye, Jimmy.
They were looking for any way for a Scotland bad story. I'm sorry, it's a fucking Scotland good story.
Most certainly is. Anyway, the only comparable service we have that's in the public hands is ScotRail. ScotRail paid out £760,000 in compensation last year for delays. Since it came into public hands in 2022, that's actually in the downward trend. On the first year we took it over for Aviva had paid out 800,000.
Yeah.
A bit of chaos sorting things out in the first year. It went up to 900,000, then dropped by 200,000 to 700,000, and it's on the downward trajectory. Projections for next year shows, right? But that's the only comparison we have. But if that's all we're paying out in compensation, comparable to what the international air industry pays out, airline industries pay out. I mean,
okay, I know it's anecdotal, right? But the wife and I went on a jet to Spain, right? What happened was brand new plate, absolutely, they just take the plastic off seats, right? Okay. And they had a problem with the water. They couldn't make coffee, they couldn't run the toilets, or anything like that. So the pilot came on and said, we're going to have to pull into Manchester and change plates. Sorry about that, guys, but it means we're going to have to be up here a bit, burn off some of the fuel, right? We got £800. £800 for like two of us, right? Now that's 200-seater. I forget what the plane was, but it was about 200 seats, right? So we're talking like £8,000, one instant, and all they need to do is change planes. It was done quite at the time on the ground. It was done very quickly. Plane took off and off we went. Right? Imagine that. It's £8,000, and then you start looking at all the incidents that take place. It's like, my goodness me, the airline industry must be huge, absolutely immense. So, what is it with the train service, Dave?
With the trains, the last year the compensation was 760,000, but that's for cancellations and delays again, the same way as it is for CalMac. It's all comparable service we have. But what we can say is, looking at the figures, the last figures we got for air industry here in the UK were actually issued while we were in Europe. Since we left Europe, the UK government has set up a body to monitor that stuff. But you know, David, you can find that information from individual airlines. But you and I don't have the time to do that. Anyway, David McGuinness, you can take out an RSL 28-day license to broadcast on FM radio, which broadcasts on 87.7 megahertz. Handy thing to do in the final months of 2026, and the final month before the 2026 election. Yeah. It would be if they could afford an advertising campaign to let people know what's happening.
Yeah. What I would do is I would drag that idiot from Lib Dems, and I'd drag him to a story that happened a long time ago, relatively, right? Where we had trains in England brought to a standstill because the wrong type of leaves landed on the rail.
That here in Scotland, or David.
Yeah, it's absolutely dreadful, though. Right? And at the end of the day, it's like if you start figuring out things like that, you go, shit happens. Now fuck off.
Now, David, we're going to turn our attention to social media here, and particularly the independence movement, as most people here will be members of. And social media this week's been alive with the undercurrent of the so-called rebel group, better known to you and I as associated branches, and the SNP putting forward a second strategy for
They're
the road
not,
forward for
not
independence.
rebels. They're not rebels. Come on, guys. It's the SNP of any party is the most democratic party that you will ever know, right? And at the end of the day, if there's a group of people within a party that is driven from the ground upwards, so in other words, the leadership are told by the grassroots what they should do, how they should walk, how they should start walking with your right rather than the left, right? Well, do whatever you want, right? Okay, at the end of the day, it's like you cannot have a situation where you call people that disagree with leadership as being rebels. Rebels. That's a newspaper. That's a Daily Mail or a Daily Express or a Sun type. That rebels.
Anyway, David, you and I know they're called associate branches, and because John's wanting to put his proposal to conference, associate branches want to put their proposal to conference.
Quite
That's
right.
democratic.
That's democratic. Yep.
Anyway, the undercurrent is sort of 50-50 because there's merits on base arguments.
Right.
But we know that only one thing works.
And there's demerits on both arguments as well.
Yes, definitely. But there's only one problem with base arguments, actually.
Yeah.
Is the only one of them actually works.
Yeah.
On the one side, John's side, it's very difficult to do.
Yeah.
On the other side, it's been done 3 or 4 times, but that hasn't been recognised.
Yeah. I mean, so when you break that down, you've got 2011 SNP majority.
Yep.
Independence referendum, right?
Yep.
And each one after that was a pro-independence majority.
Yep.
Not SNP majority. No referendum. Yet again, pro-independence majority, no referendum. So at the end of the day, it's like if we want things to be taken into account of history, then neither of those work. John's won't work because we won't get an SNP majority.
Yep.
And the other side won't work because all they're doing effectively is the same, is producing a pro-independence majority.
So we do need to have a pro-independence parliament to protect the people of Scotland.
Yeah.
And it's a hard situation to be in, to be fair. We know what works, but it's very difficult to achieve. We know what should work, but we know it doesn't because it's been ignored repeatedly.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I'm quite happy there's a debate being had. But once again, we have created our own problems with more division.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
When we were focused on the target of independence, we won a majority in 2011.
Yeah.
This campaign's been on that long that so many people want to decorate the house before we've got the fucking keys.
Yeah.
We need to get back to focusing on the keys. And we maybe have to do it the English way. 3-line slogans and give no fucking details. Just tell people it'll be better than what we've got. It'll be wonderful.
I said what he means by the 3 word slogans is get Brexit done. There's a 3
word lands.
Yes. Yeah.
Labour for change. It works.
It works. And when we look at the situation, if you figure that people in Scotland are that much more educated and knowledgeable, right? Still in all, we've got a population that voted Labour to get rid of Tory rather than voting SNP to get rid of Tory in Scotland, right? So at the end of the day, it's like we that situation through and through. Next, we're going to have a situation where people are going to vote reform to get rid of Labour, right? Instead of voting SNP as they should do to get independence.
To get rid of Westminster altogether.
Yeah. And
It's a hard one, but at least the debate's healthy, David. Or it should be.
well, my 3-word slogan is dead simple: independence, independence, independence. There you go.
They need to get focused again.
Yeah.
And realise what worked for Brexit.
Yeah.
Realise what worked for Bojo the Clown, who was unelectable.
That's right.
It's what worked for Labour. It would appear that 3-word slogans seem to be popular with the population for some reason.
Unfortunately, I had a conversation with Mick before he died, right? Okay. And Mick was great at putting out these old stories about him working for the Daily Record at one time, the rest of it. And he remembers that above the editor's doorway was a sign that said that this is Daily Record, and you walk in where other guys are typing, right? And it says, talk to them like they're 5.
I can believe that. Now, I want to answer our Welsh friends' question here. Will reform taking over be a good thing or bad thing for independence for both of us? That's a debate that's to be had. It would be best if we just avoid it in the first place. But if reform hit that parliament down there and become the government, it could very quickly become a good thing.
No,
or it could very quickly become a bad thing if Nigel waves his wand and shuts for parliament down.
Yeah, Professor John Curtis is envisaging a situation where perhaps the SNP would be brought in as a coalition partner with whomever, right, to make up a Westminster government, right? Who the hell would bring in the SNP when 5 minutes after doing the agreement they go, right, this is done, we're off, bye, and it's not going to happen. So Professor John Curtis, it's like, I do admire some of the work you've done, but in this, you've got a fucking screw loose, son. Right?
I'm sure Professor Curtis will be glad to hear it. But yeah, I think it'd be a good thing, Cymru. I'm not quite sure.
I think the best name for John Curtis is Professor Pat Pending. We're trying to give things names. Professor Pat Pending is John Curtis. That is brilliant.
But will reform be a good or a bad thing, David? What do you think?
What? Reform getting in?
Would it be good or bad for the Scottish and Welsh independence movements?
I just want to see a 17-foot chain link fence with razor wire at the top so we can watch what the silly buggers down south are doing.
So I'm going to take that as no comment.
That's basically no comment.
Thank you.
How many spleeters do you actually want in the answer?
Anyway, we're going to skip Yvette Cooper and her fucking chances of being there in a couple of months' time because of Palestine action. We're going to skip Rachel Faye accounts and her fight with the bookies. And we're going to move on to Trump, Putin, Trump, Zelensky. Trump, Putin at the weekend, Trump, Zelensky today. What's the prognosis, Doctor?
Well, actually, I watched the Putin and Trump meeting in Alaska where they actually stood up in the podium, and Putin had a smile like a Cheshire cat, and he gave a short speech. And Trump had a face like a scalped horse. And in actual fact, I think my way of looking at it, after having seen this taking place, the broadcasting companies had set aside 4 hours to fill with what was actually happening, what was said, and all the rest of it, right? And it didn't happen. It did not happen. And basically, me reading between the lines, effectively, Trump said to Putin, "You better turn up or else." And he's taken a couple of subs, put a couple of subs off Crimea, pointing their missiles towards Russia, right? And the Russia have said to him, right, we've located your submarines, right? And you know fine well we bought you. And what's going to happen is I'll turn up to save your face, I'll make a short speech, and I'll fuck off home. That's it. End of story.
Right, we will move on to what you think and what a lot of people will agree with, to
Yeah,
what
yeah.
the
My
actual.
opinion. That's all my opinion only.
Yes, aye, that's what I said. Let's move on to what you think to what the political analysis has been so far.
Right.
And the political analysis is the reason why Trump looked like he's just been scalped is because Putin has the upper hand.
Yeah, but that's what I said. Putin does have the upper hand. In actual fact, if you really, really want to go down the blooming rabbit hole on this one,
I
right?
don't.
No. Let me get this out, right? If you imagine the USSR broke up because of the efforts of the United States. If you remember, Reagan had an awful lot to do with that at the time, right? Okay. So Gorbachev and Reagan both worked together. They were all hugs and all the rest of it, right? Okay. USSR broke up, right? Putin is so angry at the USSR breaking up, he wants to rebuild it. But see, at the same time, he's not happy with that. He wants the USA to break up. And if you look at the USA right now and the efforts of a certain Donald Trump, oh wow, it's like can we say that he's getting orders of Putin saying, we take sanctions. Well, you're gonna put tariffs up. It's going to cost the people of America hundreds of thousands, millions, billions, trillions. There you go.
Well, that's one way to look at it, David. I'm just going to stick to what the diplomats are saying. And what they're saying is Putin has got the upper hand. How this is going to play out is we're going to be in Israel, sort of Palestine situation where Ukrainian territory will become occupied territories.
Yeah.
Where Putin will just no gear up and he'll be administrating them. Now, how they deal with that under international law as they go forward, that's a different matter. But if the reason why Trump's telling Zelensky you can stop the fighting right now, but these are the conditions.
Well, we're both in agreement on certainly that geopolitics is one of the most difficult things to try and predict
Aye.
what's going to happen.
Now, what Zelensky wants out of this, David, is he wants guarantees that if they're going to hold these occupied territories, the US is going to put up guarantees that they will advance no more.
Can't do that. Nobody can do that. The American government cannot do that. Because then you're talking about the USA going to war with Russia. It's end of story.
What the American Defense Secretary or Foreign Secretary, what do you call him? Oh, begins with W.
Yeah, and anyway, yeah.
What he's saying is, yep, Ukraine will need to tell Russia, no, we won't join NATO, but at the same time, could NATO offer Ukraine an Article 5 type agreement without them being in NATO? And that's what they're talking about when it comes to security guarantees. I don't see. Putin might agree to that, but
no, he won't.
He can ignore it when push comes to shove.
He won't. And we know from previous conflicts where Russia has been involved that what Russia do is they fight and fight and fight until eventually can fight no more and they're held they're held by the other side. They can't get any further, right?
Deadlock.
On the other side, deadlock is moved. Russia waits a wee while and then carries on, right?
What would they know, David, if this is ended temporarily or permanently on the grounds of occupied territories, it won't go well for the Russians. And it won't go well for the Ukrainian people in the occupied territories because they will push back the way the people of Palestine have pushed back.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
And the meat grinder will continue just a wee bit less. People will be in the grinder.
So, looking at
that's the name. Thanks, Nathan.
Looking at the solution, David, right? I think it's time for the USA to bug out. Probably.
That means Europe's going to have to take that responsibility.
Yes.
That also means Europe's going to have to take that responsibility without the UK, because, as we know, Starmer's talking about the UK military, international military, a defence coordination to the Yanks,
Yeah.
and that's going to be a big problem.
Goodson, take that back.
I could take it
That's,
back.
that's just a four words. That's like something Trump might say.
Now, David, we're going to wrap this one up on one of the most disturbing things that you and I have heard this week. And that is that Netanyahu has ordered the Gaza city cleared of 1 million citizens, and they're to be herded to the Rafah concentration camp by force. How many do you think will make it to Rafah?
You gave me an estimate of like 50%, but it's an awful. I can't look at it anymore. I just can't, and I really wish you hadn't brought this up so far towards the end of the program, because I can't look at it anymore. I can't.
David, what happens is we become numb to it because we really can't face the reality of it.
You can't do anything about it. I mean, all we can possibly do is go out and protest, right? And if people in England protest, they get locked up, right?
Happening here on it.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, this it's an ultra ridiculous situation.
I think the thing that sticks in my craw, David, is the fact that Westminster government is complicit. They are complicit.
Stop you there, right? We had a situation in Spain where the fascists had taken control of Spain, all the rest of it, right? And there were a lot of people from Scotland that went out and fought with the anti-fascists, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're still remembered for doing that, right? Right? And with that situation, do you realise that in that situation, if that happened now, and we had people that went out to actually take on the IDF, they'd be locked up.
When they make it out of the airport.
Yeah.
They didn't know what you were doing.
That's right.
It's one of the most chilling announcements I've heard. Because once they're into that Rafah concentration camp, it's leave your lands and never come back or die.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you can't expect people that are not combatants, that are not armed with any kind of machine guns or whatever, right? Okay. How can you expect them to stand against that?
And that's the other side of the equation as well. They reckon that Hamas is going to take a heavy toll on the IDF when they start herding the people out. Because as the IDF move forward, they reckon Hamas is going to come out behind them and guerrilla warfare style attacks.
Right, hang on a second. Right. Yet again, it's mislabeling things. It's like the NHS Scotland and it's just England, that sort of thing, right? Okay. I think Hamas has now become, if you like, a word for anything that stands against. It's like anti-Semitic, right? Anything that stands against the IDF, right? Mm-hmm. So what you're actually talking about is, all Hamas might be going, the actual political party.
I think a better name for them actually isn't Hamas, it's the Palestine Resistance.
Yeah, that's what it comes out as. And what's happening is that people have got together and said, well, the IDF's going to do this. What are we going to do? Well, all we've got is arrows and bows and things like that. But we can still take a few of them with us, right? And effectively, that's it. And if we get one or two, then we've got machine guns, we've got weapons, right? And at the end of the day, it's like, that's what it's coming down to.
Aye.
And these people are getting called Hamas. It's to somehow say, give the people of Israel, and we are talking about people in Israel here, people of Israel and the people that support Israel, some kind of way to actually look at it and go, well, look at what Hamas has done. Hamas have come out and slaughtered these harmless soldiers who are trying to move people to a place of safety.
That's how it will be portrayed, aye. Hamas have agreed to a ceasefire proposal, aye, but have Israel agreed to it? This says a peace proposal was put forward by Saudi and everybody else.
Netanyahu knows fine well if he ends up with a ceasefire and
It's
ends up,
Israel proposal.
that's it, he's in prison.
And that's it, Laurie. The ball is in Netanyahu's court, and as David just said, he's no picking that ball up.
Yeah.
You don't start to clear Gaza City and the next day agree to ceasefire.
That's right.
Not going to happen, I'm afraid. And I see Comrie and Chris Fisher are discussing NATO in the chat, and Chris brings up a great point. NATO is a North Atlantic a tactical organisation for defending North Atlantic nations.
Yeah.
Ukraine isn't a North Atlantic nation.
Isn't it?
Well, there you go. But it's an interesting debate the two of them are having there.
Yeah.
So it is.
Netanyahu, Desiree says, I'm surprised that Netanyahu is still free. In actual fact, he has that many court cases going against him at the moment. The one main one is the one through the parliament where he was given so much body swerves. Eventually, the judge said, "No, enough time has gone by. I need you at this court." So
that was a day, I think, his house was attacked, so he
yeah,
couldn't turn up to court.
And also the situation whereby the group within the parliament are arguing against conscription.
Aye, the Orthodox Jews.
Yeah, of the Orthodox Jews. So
his coalition has basically collapsed. North Atlantic Treaty Organisation, that's it, treaty, sorry. Of course it is, Nathan. Would that say tactical? Probably said tactical instead of treaty. Okay. But anyway, it's the Vance Treaty Organisation where they all agree to support each other, and if one's attacked, they're all attacked.
If you
there's a few nations in it which shouldn't be in it because of no North Atlantic Treaty.
It was in the rabbit hole, but it's no longer down the rabbit hole. For NATO, read USA. Sorry, guys, but that's precisely it.
That is, and also that's a good point to end on, David, because we're 58 minutes into this 60-minute show. Now we need to take time to thank the moderators, the contributors, you and me, and the community for being there in vast numbers again.
Yeah.
And Comrie, thanks for joining us from Wales. Please come back. We're on a Monday and a Thursday at 4 p.m. and I do a paper review Monday, Friday. David joins me on a Wednesday morning for a paper review. So please come back. Let's get Scotland and Wales supporting each other on our drive for Scottish and Welsh independence.
Yes.
Okie dokie.
I'm always pleased when I see a Welsh politician who's, what's the name of their political party again?
Cymraeg.
Right. It's like at the end of the day, I think great, that's wonderful, and they always tend to be good, sensible people. Listen to them on question time or whatever, right? But we need a lot more pressure on both countries. Wales,
both countries, pension movement.
Yeah.
Right. Well, David, that just leaves you to say independence, 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 and we say eyes on the prize. So after you, dear boy.
Independence, 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 and keep your eyes on the prize.
Eyes on the prize, please, folks. 2026. We need both an SNP majority and a pro-independence parliament would be the ideal combination.
Do remember, people, put out if anybody is stupid enough to give a vote to reform, then effectively what they're doing is birds of a feather flock together. They are standing side by side by people that want to get rid of or destroy our NHS, who stand side by side with people that do Hitler or Nazi salutes. And also, it's like they're racist as well. People in Scotland generally are not racist.
No, we generally. Right. Bye, everyone. See you tomorrow morning, 10:30.